Hey yo guys, I'm back here to give you a video on just some of my thoughts on some of the, recent events that have gone down, plus maybe some news topics. There really hasn't been that much news in the combat sports world, but, there's been some, of the news that there's been, pretty decent enough stories that, I definitely feel I should touch on. First thing will be more so just a quick little thing about this channel. If you want to send some questions in about, pro wrestling, mixed martial arts, or boxing, send them in. Don't have enough to do a Q&A, and I'd like to potentially try and do one every Wednesday or Thursday, depending on how things go with my life and stuff. But if I get enough, for those days, definitely will be able to do them frequently, which makes me happy. And that's just the way I look at it. I like to do it for, I know a lot of people like to send questions, and if I only get like one or two, I'm not going to answer them on camera, and I rarely get the time to respond back. So if you just, send a bunch in on, anything you'd like to know about wrestling, boxing, or MMA, as well as, thoughts, some stuff from the past you would like to know about, what have you. But anyways, let's just get that out of the way quickly. Alright, so now let's get down to this video. The first thing we'd like to talk about is the Dream 9 show, which took place, I guess, Tuesday morning on HDNet. Gotta say, this show was definitely, to me, the best Dream show of 2009. That thing, I think I have to say, it was, Dream was banking a lot on this show because on the TBS network, which, everything in sports is, predicated on, ratings and television, the TBS network in Japan put a lot of effort in. They had a strong lead-in. They had, one of Japan's top boxers, can't remember his name at the moment, had a title fight. He won, I believe, within the first 3 rounds, but I believe by a knockout too. So that, was a good thing. And then we led into Dream, which went from, 8 to 11 in Japan. And then, Dream 9, let's just say it was good. The Super Hulk tournament was a nice little way to maybe, hype up the show more. I don't think there was that much more buzz for it. One of the big, maybe more so here in North America than in Japan, was Jose Canseco. Let me just say, his fight was much better than I thought it would be. It actually looked like he had a game plan to use angles and, just, pick his spots against Hungman Choi. But eventually, he was running and it looked like he blew out his knee. And that was it. Once he went down, Choi pounced and, he tapped from strikes. If you're in that situation, some people say, oh man, what a pussy. Why would he do that? I'm pretty sure if there's a big, giant, mounting, ground and pounding you, you're gonna tap out as well. So just wanted to say that. But, overall, the Super Hulk tournament, it went exactly how I thought it would go. With, Minnow Woman beating Bob Sapp, and the way he did it was maybe not, it was kind of shocking, just, how quickly, but then again, you have to remember Bob Sapp has a fight with Bobby Lashley in June, so that's one thing you have to look at. By the way, Sapp looked like he was in top shape. Like, he dropped at least, 20 to 25 pounds. He wasn't, as bulky as he used to be. He was, still big, but not as, muscle massed, to say that. So when Jan Norte, same way I thought that fight would go, with, Sokuju just, outskilling Norte. Norte's just a big guy with no skill, really, and, he just depends on a knockout punch. Sokuju had trouble getting him down, but that was more because Norte was holding onto the ropes. And then once Sokuju got him down, ground and pounded him, he definitely threw 4 to 5 punches too many after the fight was stopped, which was uncalled for. But, that was just, to me, the adrenaline getting there. And, Sokuju hasn't had a win in his last, 3 to 4 fights. I think last 3 for sure. The losses to Machida and Kane in the UFC, and then he lost to Babalu on the Affliction show in January. That doesn't really bode well for you, so, for your confidence. So, you get the win, chance to, get a win there. You may throw an extra punch. But, you after. And we got a heel in the tournament, which is something I didn't think we would get. So that's pretty interesting there. And we had like the corners almost coming to blow. Ray Cepho was about to, destroy all of Sokuju's corners, so that was interesting there. Then you had just Gegard Mousasi just dominate Mark Hunt. I mean, he made a Mark Hunt look like a jobber, basically. That's the only way you can put it. Never seen the ground before. He took Hunt down, and that was it. Just, that was it. Simple enough. And there was another fight on here that I forget now, which I'm unfortunate in forgetting, but it was another Super Hulk fight that really wasn't much to it. No, I think that was actually it for the Super Hulk tournament. Yeah, that was it. Then the finals are on the K1 Dynamite show on New Year's Eve, so that's just my thoughts on the Super Hulk. Overall, I thought, actually the Super Hulk tournament was like the prelims, so that just shows how much, Dream just wanted, maybe enough interest, and that's why they interested enough in the tournament to tune in and, have the follow-through from the boxing. And they stuck around, and the tournament went exactly as people went. And then, they hoped you would stick around because they put Kid Yamamoto as the co-main event. This is his first fight, a year, since recovering from injury. And, he's such a big draw in Japan. His fight with Joe Warren was actually a really impressive one. I mean, Kid threw punches that would knock most guys out, but Joe Warren is just such a warrior. It's definitely that Greco-Roman wrestling that the man has done in the past. That's just like the perfect wrestling form to get into MMA, just because of the training they do and the toughness that these guys have. And Warren delivered some knees to the solar plexus that, they'd put down a normal man too. So, let's give Kid a lot of credit. Let's give Joe Warren a lot of credit. And I was really surprised the judges actually gave the decision to Joe Warren, as, this is, his second pro fight. And he's fighting a superstar like Kid Yamamoto in Japan. And they gave him the decision. That actually really surprised me. So, to me, Joe Warren's easily a candidate for Rookie of the Year. In any of sport. I mean, Jesus, that's just an impressive performance. I mean, not only that, that's his second fight, and he beat Kid Yamamoto. In his first fight, he beat, Chase Beebe, former WEC champion. So, right there, that's just absolutely an impressive thing. But definitely, to me, the other thing you may want to go to your way to see on this show would be the Hideo Tokoro versus Abel Cullum fight. This was just a genuine display of jiu-jitsu and ground fighting. Awesome stuff there. I mean, Tokoro had frickin' Cullum in this amazing triangle choke, and I thought, man, the fight's over. It's done. It's done. Wrap it up. Cullum, he gave it a valiant effort in the tournament, had probably the most exciting fight on Dream 7, but no, he got out of it, and then they were just countering each other like, oh, it looks like Cullum's got Tokoro's back. It looks like he's gonna, snap on a rear naked, and that's gonna be it. No, Tokoro then reverses, and I mean, it was just up and down, taking each other's back or mounting you, whatever. I mean, that was just it. I mean, that first full 10 minutes definitely tore tired Cullum out, and that was it. I mean, Tokoro got the submission victory right after, like early into the second round, so easily a candidate for Fight of the Year right there. That was some awesome stuff. Overall, I really enjoyed the Dream 9 show. Definitely looking forward to see Dream 10, as we have, I believe, there's a title fight now with Shinya Aoki on Dream 10. And, we have the finals of the Welterweight Grand Prix, so I'm happy to see that. All in all, this show did very good for Dream. I mean, not only, TBS got a strong rating. They got a 16.2 rating, which, for Dream, that's unheard of. It was definitely something, with Pride, that's easy for them to do, but for, Dream, this is their first big rating, something they'd really hoped for. And, there was a good packed crowd there in Japan, so that's something Dream can look forward to, and let's hope Dream continues the momentum going on. Now switching over to the other thing that took place on Monday. Well, this took place, Dream 9 took place Tuesday morning, but anyways, I should say early Tuesday morning. I should say Raw on Monday. Let's just say it was horrible. This was a terrible show in all aspects. The wrestling was bad. The whole booking of the show was atrocious. I mean, I just think it's, amazing what this company will do just to out a vendetta against someone. I mean, let's just think, if you even know the full story, I mean, they didn't really have to do this. They could have actually taped Raw on the Sunday at the Pepsi Center, and they would have been fine. And I mean, that's what Cronky Sports, they allowed them to do that. I mean, there was other options of, them coming, going to the arena that they were going to do in Colorado Springs and, having Raw there on Monday. I mean, they already sold 10,000 tickets. That's a 10,000 seat arena. They wouldn't have to use a big set, which, you would think for WWE, they'd, that's not them, but it would have been easier for them. But, they already brought their trucks. But really, they decided to go to LA because, one, they got to do publicity out of it, and two, they got to embarrass someone on TV, which, to me, that was just a retarded move. I mean, this guy actually wanted to work with you, and then, Vince kind of makes himself look like a hypocrite, saying, oh, blah, 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 they didn't want to call us and whatever, just to let us know that. Well, Vince, you didn't let them know that, you were moving over to the Staples Center in Los Angeles when actually, you gave them the impression that you were going to come to the Pepsi Center on Sunday instead of the Monday show. So, I mean, that's unfortunate. I mean, you guys were the ones that pulled out. And plus, WWE, like I've said before, I mean, they made themselves kind of look like hypocrites. Like, oh, man, look at the Nuggets. They're kicking us out of the frickin' Pepsi Center. WWE, you kick yourself out of buildings. You screw fans over on, tickets they have. I mean, they eventually get to keep those tickets and come back at a later date. That may not work for some people. Other things pop up in their life. I mean, frick, they canceled their Alabama shows for Mexico. When, the swine flu thing, they, did what I think I would have done as well if I were, Vince McMahon. Oh, we got to cancel our shows, and they put them back on. But still, I mean, they've canceled at least 6 or so many shows, and now because of this, they've had to cancel, house shows up in Western Canada, or just change the dates for them, but more what it is. But anyways, that's my thought on that aspect of it. I just thought the whole show was terrible. I mean, it was just so goofy. I mean, everything was bad. I mean, the opening segment, if you look at the quarter hours of this episode of Raw, as soon as, the show started, people started to change channels after they realized this wasn't funny. This was just stupid and silly and, ugh. That segment dragged on way too long. I mean, it was probably for the live crowd since the Nuggets are playing the Lakers, but for the rest of, America, or North America for that matter, maybe, no, actually, let's just do it since I'm basing it on it. For the rest of America, that's not going to predicate well to the viewing public. I mean, they may not care about that basketball series. They may not care about, pro sports in general. So, or the NBA at least. So, I mean, that doesn't do you guys any well at all. So, that's just my thoughts. I mean, like I said, the wrestling was stupid. The main event was just so dumb. I mean, the one thing that worries me is I don't think this will happen, but, WWE could have killed Denver as a market for them. They just buried, the Denver owner who owns not the Pepsi Center, who also owns the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche of the NHL, basically said, oh, these guys are stupid and what have you, and that, we deal with you guys, basically giving off that impression. So they could have, killed Denver as that kind of a market and made Denver seem like a bad city and stuff. So it could be potential. I don't think it will happen, but I'm just saying it may be there. So that's just my thoughts. I mean, it was just dumb with that main event with wearing basketball jerseys. I mean, Randy Orton looked like he was so pissed off to be in that. Of course, the man coming back was Mr. Kennedy, and no one cared. I mean, the thing when you run California, it's pretty iffy. If you notice, the one option to me is they could have run the Garden, okay? And, if you look at the SmackDown tapings and ECW tapings from there, only a month ago, less than a month ago actually, look how hot the crowd was. Because a New York crowd is just into it. A California crowd, they're into it. Certain things, they're into the superstars, but they're not into the whole package of the show. I mean, Kennedy came back and it was, yay, you could hear a pin drop. No one cared the man came back. I mean, he hurt himself on taking an RKO. He hurt his wrist again. Definitely is not something serious, but still, he hurt his wrist again. So this man is cursed. But that main event just looks so dumb. I mean, did someone give Dave Bautista the memo that you were supposed to just wear the not the shorts, not shoes of, basketball shoes. And I believe he brought out a basketball. Did Dave Bautista just want to play a game of pickup or something? Jesus Christ. And the other thing that worries me, they are aware that they have a pay-per-view in, now a week or so. So, instead of, one episode of Raw, which is your biggest show where you get to build your pay-per-view and, has the most viewing audience, you wasted that just to bury, over a silly little squabble that, you guys do more than none on, more to, owners of arenas than anything. So just wanted to get my thoughts out there. Last two things, kind of on a sadder note, I believe it was last Saturday, which was the 10-year anniversary of the tragic Owen Hart passing. And, I want to give my thoughts on, Owen as a performer. First of all, Owen was someone who, to me, is probably like one of the, definitely like it's between him and Brett. I mean, you could look at Owen as a complete package. Owen definitely had the promo ability over Brett. I think I've said this before in a video, but he's definitely had the promo ability over Brett. Athletically, I think he's a smidge better than Brett. I think technical wrestling skill, they're both even. So just wanted to give my thoughts there. I mean, Owen really never wanted to get into the business. I mean, Owen always had aspirations of either being like a substitute school teacher or a fireman. Owen, when he was a kid, he followed in Brett's footsteps and, was an amateur wrestler. I believe he was, top of the province in Alberta. And then, he got into this mainly because, it was the thing they did. They followed it. He went to Japan after that. He was actually, one of the biggest stars of the new version of Stampede after Stu Hart opened it up after Vince McMahon wasn't giving him the paychecks he promised him after Stampede originally closed down, and they took, Dynamite Kid, British Bulldog, Bret Hart, Jim Neidhart, and Bad News Allen. So that's, he went and really honed his craft. I mean, there's just a lot of similarities between, a Stampede training and, a New Japan dojo, or just, a Japan style. So that's just something I think was great. He had this fantastic match with Jushin Thunder Liger before he became Jushin Thunder Liger. It was just, some great stuff. Then, Owen kind of drifted around. I mean, he was in WCW for like a minute. He teamed with Ricky Morton on occasions, just beating job guys. One of the more interesting things to me in Owen's career was his heel run that a lot of people don't know about in '93 in the USWA, where it was him and Brett actually feuding with Jerry Lawler and, Jeff Jarrett got thrown into it because Jeff was top baby faces in Memphis territory and getting the rub with Jerry. But anyways, I mean, this feud was based off of what happened on WWF television on the King of the Ring show, which you had, Jerry attack Brett and what have you. On WWF television, Jerry was the heel and we were supposed to be sympathetic for him. But if you watch USWA television, this feud here was really interesting. It's maybe more so Brett versus Jerry continued, but they threw Owen in there to, get revenge, from Brett by beating Jerry. He beat Jerry for the USWA title, and they did this angle where Jerry broke Owen's neck, and Brett came for revenge. They had a great tag match where there's incredible crowd heat. Like Brett, he wrote this in. It was like one of the best he's ever had. At the Memphis Coliseum. That versus Jerry Lawler and Jeff Jarrett. So I just want to give my thoughts on that aspect. Of course, we all remember, the biggest thing for Owen's career was the brother versus brother feud, which is, to me, if you want to see how a brother versus brother feud is done, that's it right there. I mean, a long, tenuous build. I don't think we'll get something like that today, especially in a WWE, because how they just run programs as opposed to back in 1993-94. I mean, the feud starts back at Survivor Series 93, goes and ends about Survivor Series 94 when, Owen used Bob Backlund to get the championship off Brett. But yeah, I mean, the matches that they had, the promos they had leading up to it, they got back together, took on the Quebecers for the tag belts at the Royal Rumble when Owen made the heel turn, and you can just see it was just so well done that Brett didn't want to make the tag, and you actually can see that Brett kind of could have been a heel in that situation, but Owen kicks the leg out, and Brett, we believe his chances of winning the Royal Rumble are caused from this, but Then the feud goes great. I mean, Owen has a fantastic match with Brett, and, Owen gets put over. Not only, him winning, but Owen looked so competitive with Brett. Now, it definitely helped that he worked his brother, and, I don't know if it had been someone else, if he would have looked like that, but, he worked the top star in the company at that time. Let's face it, Bret Hart was the top star in 1994 in the WWF. He worked him, had a fantastic match with him, and, he, got put over for the skill and got put over in the, in the decision. And, the ending of WrestleMania 10 where, Bret beats Yoko for the belt, and, we just see Owen coming out there, well, what about me? No, now my accomplishment seems like nothing. And then they had that, one of Owen's shining performances has to be King of the Ring 94, where, he came in there and had probably the best matches that company had seen that year. Let's face it, 94 was, the best year for some great wrestling, between, Bret Hart, with Owen, and, Diesel had a couple good matches as well, and the 1-2-3 Kid with Bret, but Owen on this show proved how valuable of a worker he was, proving that he was maybe one of the most underrated guys in the business up to that point. I mean, he had a good, solid first-round match with Tatanka, a fantastic match with the 1-2-3 Kid Shawn Wall. Like, this is, if you want to see how a great short match is with, big moves and near falls that, you into, watch King of the Ring 94, the second round, Owen Hart versus the 1-2-3 Kid. Now, part of that match goes to the fact that, Kid beat Jeff Jarrett to advance via a roll-up, and Jeff Jarrett did a number on him, and it was the selling, that Kid may not have been in there, he was hurt. And then, Owen had a good enough match with Razor Ramon, but still, the thing that, will be more remembered is Jim Neidhart turning officially back heel by clotheslining, costing him, and Owen gets the victory. And then Owen, of course, had the great cage match with Bret Hart at SummerSlam 94, mainly the main culmination of that feud. Such an awesome match. I mean, that's a perfect cage match to me. That's definitely something I've given 5 stars. And then, really, Survivor Series 94 uses Bob Backlund to get the belt, and really then his career, kind of at a bit of a stalemate, really, up until 97. I mean, yeah, he was Intercontinental title picture. He won the tag belts with Yokozuna, and to me, maybe the second best match on WrestleMania 11. So, yeah, I mean, that was, 96 was not much of a career. Yeah, he was with Camp Cornette, but not much happened. Of course, 97 with, the Hart Foundation, the new Hart Foundation, having those great matches, those great sets and promos, and the infamous, match where he broke Steve Austin's neck. Just some great stuff there. And then really, unfortunately, the screw job happened, and, Owen got hung out to dry in the WWF. There is definitely, going on record, it was believed that once Owen's, Owen was about to, get out of his contract and go to WCW, I think that's one of the last things Bret said to Owen in WWE, when he was in WWE, was, I'll see you at WCW. Well, Bret was on, on a phone call with, Vince Russo, and Vince McMahon was tapped in, and he said, if you think that you're going to get your brother out of his contract, well, then I'll sue you for everything you've got. And that's why Owen got stuck there, and you could tell Owens, really didn't care. Yeah, he was actually, after the screw job, one of the most over guys, and they could have probably done a title drop to him, but I think Shawn was just so hot as a heel, it wouldn't have made that much sense. But yeah, I mean, that's why you could tell, he did not much. Yeah, he was in the Nation, had, good matches with Ken Shamrock, a guy that, Bret helped train, or, Bret gave guidance to. So that was that. He was in the Nation, teamed with Rock. But, he still gave it his all out there, which is something that goes to show, how much that guy, knew that the fans paid for a hell of a get. Then, really, he was put back in the Blue Blazer gimmick. He was, he was teaming with Jeff Jarrett, and they were supposed to do a feud where, Owen, Deborah had the hots for Owen, and Owen was, for it, but Owen was against that because of how he didn't want his wife seeing that on television, or his kids, so that's why they gave him the Blue Blazer gimmick, the return of the Blue Blazer gimmick. Actually, I didn't know the depth of, that when he was in 1989 in the company, and had one of the most underrated matches in WrestleMania history, in my opinion, with Mr. Perfect at WrestleMania 5. But anyways, back to this. He has that, where he's just trying to be all good and stuff, and, is going to feud with what was it? The Godfather over Goodness to get the Intercontinental title back. He was booked to win the belt, and then the tragic accident happened. And I mean, the thing that just really pisses me off more, not just that they continued the show, because let's face it, someone died in the middle of that ring and they made the show continue. If that happened in the NBA, NHL, NFL, game would be over. Someone dies out on the floor, you know, uncalled for by them. But the fact that the segment before that match, they used an ambulance on Vince McMahon, you know, just for a silly little goofy bullshit segment. When Owen collapsed and died in the ring, they couldn't get an ambulance out there in time. That definitely, you know, hurt the fact that of Owens, you know, living. So just my thoughts there. And, you know, quickly, want to give my condolences to Mike Tyson, whose daughter tragically passed away at the age of 4 in a freak accident. And to me, this is just an unfortunate thing. It looked like Mike had his life down the right path again. You know, he had this fantastic documentary come out. You know, looked like he was at peace with everything he'd done. It's put it all behind him. It looked like he was, you know, having a fun time, you know, with Quentin Rampage Jackson and his new girlfriend at the UFC show this weekend. You know, he's got that role in the, I believe, that Hangover movie. And it just looked like everything was going right, and now this just, you know, that's got to hurt him a lot, and you can, you know, my condolences go out to Mike Tyson, and, you know, I just hope he doesn't jump on him, oh, why wasn't Mike Tyson at his house, why wasn't he taking care of his kids? You know what, it's a freak accident, you know, who knows what Mike was doing. I mean, it wasn't like he's a bad father or anything, but just my condolences go out to him. I mean, that's just a tough loss. But anyways, that's it for me. If you, like I said, once again, if you'd like to send questions, please do. We'll love a bunch to do a question video maybe next week, early next week, or maybe the weekend. But anyways, that's it for me. Out. Peace.